Hello and welcome Red Devils United. I'm Aashish and today we are back with another edition of the Red Devils Magazine show. We're going to talk about Man United's results in the Premier League and the FA Cup after the restart. Stay tuned to know more. Our first game after the restart was against a resurgent Tottenham side that had all of their players available except Dele Alli, who had been suspended. United also had every player available, especially Marcus Rashford and Paul Pogba. Solskjaer started without Paul Pogba, given that he was coming back after an ankle injury and had a long layoff, but he started Marcus Rashford, who looked off the pace when the game began. But United was lucky to come up with United were unlucky, I would say, to come up with a 1-1 draw in that game because for most of the second half, we were the better side. Now, one of the things in that game that struck out was David De Gea's poor keeping and that Harry Maguire still carries a blunder, one blunder in every other game and is not looking like a £75 million defender that we hoped we had bought. But 1-1 was still a good result given that we are still in the fight for top 4. Now, our next game was against Sheffield. Sheffield was another contender for that top 4 position. But Sheffield had a bad start and we also managed to beat them 3-0. Now, this game was special for Man United. You may be wondering why. Well, Anthony Martial scored a hat-trick, his first hat-trick for Manchester United in the Premier League. But guess what? This was Man United's first hat-trick in the Premier League ever since Sir Alex Ferguson retired in the title-winning 2013 season. Well, now that brings us to Anthony Martial and a superb run of form as United's number 9. And we'd love to know more from you as to what you think about Anthony Martial in the comments section below. With hopes up, our next game was against Norwich in the FA Cup quarterfinals. Norwich is at the bottom of the table and everybody expected us to win. But Solskjaer had different ideas. He fielded a second team. Juan Mara, Jesse Lingard, Odion Ighalo, Fred, Scott McTominay, all starting against a hapless Norwich side. Well, what more can you expect? The game itself was very, very boring. The first half, I can't even say what happened on the game because I couldn't pay attention to that atrocity that was being dished out by United players. And it goes on to say the importance of Bruno Fernandes's transfer in the January transfer window. Without him, we run around like headless chickens and there is no creativity on the pitch. However, we still went into the break with a 1-0 lead thanks to Odion Ighalo. But then Norwich pulled back to 1-1 and the game went into extra time until Harry Maguire saved us the blushes of taking the tie into penalties, and finally we saw off the game to move into the semi-finals. Now, Man United played Chelsea in the semi-finals on July the 18th, which is just about 10 or 9 days away from now. And Man United have had a superb run of form against Chelsea in all the 3 games that we've faced against them. A double in the Premier League and a win in the Carabao Cup, and shows that we are favourites for this game. But Chelsea have had a resurgence of their own under Frank Lampard and have made some statement signings to showcase their intent for, as potential contenders for the Premier League title next season. Moving on from that game, we faced Brighton next, and this was another game that we had to win. And voila, we ran out 3-0 winners in that game. But the standout story was that of Mason Greenwood. And this guy has a stellar rise as one of United's most promising starlet ever since Marcus Rashford came through the ranks under Louis van Gaal. And Mason Greenwood definitely packs a punch with his strikes and his goals and his assists. And I believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has found a balance within this team, with Mason Greenwood playing on the right, Marcus Rashford on the left, Anthony Martial as a lone striker, and then Bruno Fernandes in the whole behind these strike players, providing the creativity and another goal threat. Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes's interchange their plays was also amazing. And Bruno Fernandes finished this game with two amazing goals, the third of which was a counter-attacking goal that we scored in about 9 seconds. And that takes us back to some of the amazing counter-attacking goals that we scored under Sir Alex Ferguson, two of which come to mind, and both of them against Arsenal, one scored by Rooney and the other scored by Cristiano Ronaldo. Well, the signs this game showed that Man United is growing under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and his style and his coaching tactics can be seen showing out results on the pitch. And that brings us to the game against Bournemouth in the Premier League. Now, Bournemouth had beaten us 1-0 at home, and that was a game of missed chances, poor defending, and that was a game where Anthony Martial's commitment to Man United and to Solskjaer's trust was questioned. But come this game, we ran out a comfortable 5-2 winners, but again there were some defensive lapses. Harry Maguire got nutmegged, and that again shows why he carries a blunder every other game. It was Harry Maguire's defensive lapse, his slowness, but then David De Gea also showed why he's in a poor run of form. Ever since he signed a bumper new contract with us, David De Gea has just been coming up with a mistake every now and then. And that's worrying signs for Solskjaer, ahead of the next season, and given the resurgence of Dean Henderson as a potential number one for us. Should we continue with David De Gea, or should we bring in Dean Henderson as a number one? Let us know in the comment section below. We'd be happy to know what you think about that. But still, we needed that one goal deficit to show more intent in the game, and then we just turned around the game in our favor. Bruno Fernandes stepped up, Mason Greenwood stepped up, Anthony Martial came in with an amazing strike, and Marcus Rashford also found himself on the score sheet. And that was an important statistic, because now we have Marcus Rashford on 20 goals and Anthony Martial on 20 goals in all competitions for Man United. This is the first time since Sir Alex Ferguson's treble-winning era that our top two strikers have both scored 20 goals for United. Something that we haven't seen in the last 7 years, thus far. And with Mason Greenwood chipping in with 15 goals in all competitions, we have three players who have contributed 55 goals for us. And come next season, these players will be even more fit, even more raring to go, and would pose a threat to any team in the Premier League or Europa or Champions League, whichever European competition we make up to. And that makes me very excited, about our future, especially under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, is that our attacking capability is there for everyone to see. It's just those defensive mistakes, the defensive liabilities, both in our centre backs as well as the goalkeeper, that's costing us dear. But our attacking prowess is saving our asses every now and then. And now let's head over to Saga to discuss the game today. Saga, it's all yours.
Thank you, Aashish. I just got off watching the Aston Villa game, and United were 3-0 winners from that. I have to be honest, going into the game, I was not quite confident if United were going to continue the run of form they are currently in, if they would be able to manage that kind of goal scoring form or that kind of pressure on opponents going forward. But I was pleasantly surprised. That's obviously good as a United fan. It's been a long time since we have actually enjoyed watching United pass the ball and move the ball so fluidly and so fluently. So that's really good. Aston Villa actually had a better start to the game. For 20 to 25 odd minutes, they were passing the ball around. They were trying to make things happen. I think Grealish was trying to make a case for himself for a move to United and trying to impress Solskjaer. And but there came the controversial moment of Bruno winning a penalty, which for me personally was a penalty. But I got into a little bit of argument on Twitter where different fans have different kind of opinions. But for me, what I saw was that the defensive player was clumsy within the box, and the referee was well within his rights to judge that as a penalty. VAR took a look at it and because they could not find any clear and obvious error, that was adjudged as a penalty. So for me, it was an obvious penalty, but yeah, fans have different opinions, and I welcome that as well. But Bruno scored the goal, scored the penalty kick, and yeah, then the next game, the second goal, which was scored by Greenwood, obviously our generational talent, which we have budding at this moment. I think I read somewhere that he has been hitting numbers which closely match that of Wayne Rooney's when he was at that age, but it's quite impressive by the fact that they are obviously different kind of players, but the fact that Greenwood is doing putting up these numbers at Manchester United while Wayne Rooney was doing it at Everton speaks volumes about how special a player we have in the form of Greenwood, because I think he does not have a weak foot as well, because he prefers taking shot within the box with both his feet, and he saw a little gap between Pepe Reina's near post and took that shot and scored a screamer, and it was right before the first half, so that was a good time to score. But the third goal was a Pogba goal where Bruno Fernandes was taking the corner, and he was smart enough to find Pogba at the edge of the box, who calmly slotted for the third goal. And it was great to see the fact that Pogba and Bruno Fernandes have a nourishing partnership at this moment, because a lot of United fans were kind of excited to see, but also worried in the form of if this is going to work or not, where Pogba is kind of sitting as a deep lying midfielder, Bruno Fernandes is playing up top, and there might be some ego clash as well, because who is going to be a better player or the bigger player at Manchester United. But there's nothing of that sorts. They are clicking perfectly, they look like they are made for each other, and they are passing the ball around. So it's absolutely great to see how Solskjaer has been able to get this team together, get those core players together, and also the fact that, like I said, the core players, because he has not changed his team for a third time running, and that's a rare occurrence as well. So that's really good to see, because Manchester United look like they are on the right track of getting into top 4, top 3 possibly, if Leicester or Chelsea start dropping points off late. So that's going to be really, really interesting, and I will be keeping an eye out on Chelsea's game during the weekend, where they play Sheffield, who for the last 2 games have actually found some kind of form, beating Wolves, beating Tottenham. So they are capable of taking points off Chelsea. That might give us a chance to get into the top 4, because we are playing Southampton at home. I'm not being confident or overconfident. It's just the fact that we have a lot of opportunities to actually get into top 4 that really excites me. And as for Leicester, they have a difficult run of form coming up. They obviously play us for the last game of the season, but they have Bournemouth, who today actually got points of Tottenham, so that might be an interesting game. Next up, they play actually Sheffield United and Spurs. So yeah, Leicester can actually drop some points. They can come out of top 4 maybe in the next 2 game weeks, and United can get into the those top 4 spots. So that's really interesting, and the fact that we are making things happen in the final third it's absolutely wonderful and a joy to watch United at this moment. So that's it from the Aston Villa game, and I know we have not been coming out with a lot of content of late, but we will make sure we'll put in the effort to at least come out with some kind of weekly content, either discussing the games or, like Aashish talked about, some of the youngsters that are coming out of ranks. So we will make sure we put out some kind of content.
And Red Devils United, before we go, please subscribe to our channel, spread the word with every Man United fan that you know out there. In the comment section below, let us know how we're doing and spread the love. And until next time, take care, stay safe, ta-ra.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel and also press the bell icon to stay updated on all the latest happenings regarding Manchester United.